Let's bring in Anthony Seaboyer, national security expert. Anthony, thank you as always for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Roger.
The evacuation order has been issued for parts of Rafah. How concerning is this?
Well, it's very concerning because the area that people are supposed to flee towards is far too small. There's not sufficient housing, electricity, water. It appears once again that the Netanyahu government is not concerned about the security of the civilians. And we're also hearing first reports now of actually bombing of parts of two parts of the city of Rafah actually happening right now.
Now, is this Israel's response to the attacks yesterday that killed 4 soldiers? Is this just a threat to try and put pressure on the ceasefire talks, or is this for real?
Well, looking at this from a military perspective, I mean, the real reason from a military perspective is to find the last remaining commando areas, the last remaining infrastructure that Hamas is using to attack Israel. So that's the military perspective. But that said, this is such a densely populated area. There's 1.4 million people in an area that was normally populated with 150,000 people. It shows you how densely the population is situated living there. And yeah, it's going to be a tragedy, no question. And despite the military goals that do make sense, the costs to civilian lives and to Israel's reputation, I believe, are going to be far higher than any military benefits that can be achieved.
How realistic is it that Israel has managed to contain Hamas to that area? I mean, they must be very porous throughout Gaza.
Absolutely. That would not make sense for them to just be in one area dispersed where they could be targeted like that. And again, terrorism is an ideology. You cannot bomb an ideology away, unfortunately. Of course, you need to take away the heavy weaponry. You need to take the infrastructure away as much as possible, which Israel has been doing for 8 months now. But at some point, it has to be clear there has to be a political solution to this conflict. And going into the last area where people have been able to flee is, I think, a wrong step at this point.
What does this mean now for any kind of ceasefire negotiations? Is it pretty much all bets are off?
I think that's unfortunately where we are. The threat was if there wouldn't be a solution soon, then this invasion would happen in Rafah, and that's I think what we're starting to see now. We're seeing international response where literally all Western allies of Israel are against this. We see France coming out very clearly, European Union coming out that they're not supporting this, claiming this is a war crime, actually forcing civilians to leave. So I think Netanyahu has been put on notice. Also, what we're seeing is that for the first time in a long time, U.S. is stopping weapons deliveries to Israel. So that's how far the relationship has gone there now. I think this is very alarming for the Israeli people and for the Netanyahu government.
Is there enough, or could there be enough internal pressure from either the people of Israel or politically in Israel to end this or bring change to this?
Well, that's, I think, what a lot of people are trying to do on the streets. The protests are increasing. The pressure is increasing. It's clear the long-term consequences of what the IDF is doing on the ground in the Gaza is going to be so devastating for the security of Israelis long-term, most likely. They're creating enemies with these kind of actions, with these This is clearly a war crime, forcing people to leave. That's going to be not guaranteeing Israeli security in any way. It's really detrimental at this point, and more people are seeing this and are trying to raise their voices to request the Netanyahu government from stopping further military actions.
What kind of response can we expect from Hamas itself? Are they even capable?
That's a tough question. We don't know what their commando structures are. We don't know what those going to negotiations actually have, what kind of influence they actually have in the organization. We don't know the status of the organization. That's a lot of huge questions. Who can actually speak on their behalf really now? What control levels do they actually have over their own people? How many people are left? These are all questions that are remaining right now.
Could this be Israel trying to push that and see what kind of a response they get, and then maybe they could feel that they've accomplished what they set out for?
Absolutely. That is certainly the case. They're trying to identify what capabilities Hamas still has, who is following, who is supporting them. But at this point, it's really difficult to see, who can actually speak on their behalf and who could really agree to a negotiated agreement at this point.
Okay. Anthony, thank you as always for your insight.
Thank you, Roger.